Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Spiritual Journey podcast. My name is Nimesh. I'm your host, and I love this podcast. I always love by starting saying thank you. I started this podcast as a passion project, really was guided to it, and my intention was to simplify spirituality and guide people on the spiritual journey. And I get messages every week just from people who are listening, and it's really having an impact. And thank you for that. And if everyone that's supported and helped this podcast, I thank you with all my heart. I'm an Akashic record reader, Akashic trainer, podcast host, podcast creator, as well as spiritual coach and mentor. And I love guiding people to truly be their authentic selves. Energetically, I feel we've been pushed to truly let go of the boundaries we've been holding on to, the programming, and just rebirth ourselves to be the new version of ourselves. And I love guiding people to do that. And also, I get to talk to some amazing people. And I'm excited to have in this episode amazing special guests who I only met recently, but I trust in kind of the universe connecting souls that need to be connected. So I'd love to introduce Leslie Dowling. I recently met her. I thought she'd be a great guest. So Leslie, I'd love for you to introduce yourself. Over to you.
Thank you very much. I think we are kindred spirits. And yes, we just met, but I just feel this connection on so many levels of just being the voice, the messenger, my calling so I'll back it up a little bit. So yes, I'm Leslie Dowling. My passion is having a vision about 3 years ago, creating a podcast called Keep It Dirty. And that's all about grounding with Mother Earth, getting your feet in the soil, grounding your fingers in that soil, that beautiful soil that Mother Earth has created, and creating awareness. My intentions were 3 or 4 years ago. I don't know why, but I'm going to have a podcast. I want to take my years as a board certified functional nutrition and lifestyle practitioner, my passions about Mother Earth, and all of collectively my fellow alumni and people that I'm connecting with, to have them on my show and all my content. I have a voice, I have a vision, and through that, I'm meeting amazing people like you, and it's just growing, and people want to listen, and they want to be nurtured. So that's really, I think, my intentions and calling, and just interplaying all of the tools that I've had over my life, being very intuitive, having families that were very creative, artistic. I had my palms read at 5 years old. Every year, my mother and I and my brother and my father would go to something, Intervision, which was held at the Waldorf Astoria every year in the 70s and 80s. And somebody read my palm and said, "You are going to teach. You are going to speak. You'll be doing something with teaching, educating." And I thought, I want to be a designer. What are they talking about? And up until I hit my 40s, that calling started coming closer and stronger. And I took all of the books, Edgar Cayce, all these beautiful books on dreaming and my crystals, and I laid them out, and it's like calling me back now. The energy work as a Reiki practitioner, having done a lot of Reiki on my horse, on animals, on people now, it's all making sense. So that subconscious is coming to my conscious, and it's really so strong. And the frequencies are changing here on this planet, and we are just joining forces. So that's a little bit about me.
Wow, thank you. And keep it dirty. I love that. If somebody looked at that podcast name, they may
Right.
think of it being something totally different. But nature and kind of getting our feet onto the grass and just grounding and just laying on the grass and getting. I love that. There's such a power to it, because we can get lost in this human world, right? We can get lost in all the politics and everything that's going on the planet, but I really do feel there's a bigger plan in play, and I really do feel Mother Nature. On this planet, whatever shift is happening, I feel it's all planned. I feel it's all part of Mother Nature's plan in terms of everything that's happening. Even, when COVID hit, and I know, look, it affected some people differently, but for most of us, Before that, we were saying we're too busy to heal. There's too much going on. Haven't got time. Mother Nature's like, okay, I'll send you all to the naughty corner. You'll all have time to heal. If you choose to heal, you do it. If you don't, you don't, and that's okay. But it's just like even now, if we talked about it before we started recording, is there's a shift from the masculine to the feminine. There's such an energetic shift. And this is where the conflict is coming from. Some people are choosing to focus internally, other people are choosing to get angry and get emotional. And if we could just keep it simple and just more often just ground. I mean, we did a grounding process before we began recording, right? And it's just,
That was amazing.
physically call in Mother Nature, but even better, just wherever you are, if you can, just find some grass and just go and lay in the grass and just look at the clouds. And don't get me started on the clouds. There's some beauty, some magic there for sure. I love looking at the clouds.
Yeah.
And we're recording this near the time of the full moon. Again, there's so much power in the moon too. There's just, if we allowed nature and the energy and the vibration around us to support us and let go of our expectations, this is where I think the beauty of where we're at right now. We can pretend to try and control things. We can try and control things, but I really believe the more often we can just let go and trust and just focus on the moment. Of course, you still got to manifest, plan for the future, but appreciate the magic in the moment. Appreciate this conversation. Appreciate, if you're listening, look at the world around you. Where are you right now? What's the magic you can truly feel around you? And maybe in that moment you can truly connect.
Absolutely. And I guess I'm always going to hold this conversation and our exchange with just grounding ourselves prior to us going on. How apropos this recording, and it's something that is just how do they say quality versus quantity? You could have thousands of conversations over your lives, but this is something that I will always hold dear to my heart because it's so powerful. And we're on this similar trajectory of just creating that aha moment, when you talk to people over the years and then you just have this light bulb go off. And I think that the energy that comes through me, like when I'm doing energy work with Reiki and people, some people will feel, it's like the heat, the infrared, the Curlian theory they call, we're all energy. And it's like the red, energy and the beautiful energy that's coming out of your hands. And so not necessarily am I touching people, I'm just hovering over them. Some people can feel blockage or something going on with health. For me, I always preface figuratively, not, it could be somebody coming through or it could be a sign or a symbol. So just be open to it. And afterwards, if you want to write things down, because you're on this high after you have energy work and you forget things. So the beautiful thing was when I do energy work, I literally, it's like a ticker tape parade or something. And I just see these visions. And I was working on, I'll just share this quickly. I don't know why, but I'm going to share it with you. I was supposed to share it with you. And I just knew that this woman was a widow for a year. She probably just changes and shifts in her life. Didn't know anything about her husband, where she lived, nothing. I started working on her. And all of a sudden I saw a vision of somebody taking my hand and walking me to a detached garage that was well lit and just converted into this beautiful workshop with everything meticulously laid out. And it looked like a woodworking shop. So as I'm working on her, I said to her, this could be just literally or figuratively. Maybe it's just signs of just getting your new path of life into alignment with new tools and being, in a new position, or maybe it's somebody coming across for some reason. Well, after that exchange, she called me that evening and she said, I couldn't believe what you told me because my husband who passed loved woodworking. And when we bought this property, he converted the garage in the back that wasn't connected to our house into a wood shop. And I said, well, that's just validation that they came through to just say, I'm with you. You could do this. And you have all these tools now. So that was pretty powerful. And I don't do much Reiki because I think I've always had it in me, but it's sort of calling me back like you have these tools and gifts. Start going back, so that was a beautiful thing. So, and I'm not woo woo, but everybody is starting to tap into this because when we were on lockdown, everybody globally was able to connect and
Yeah.
commiserate, right? And that was when we had time to really think and do soul searching. And that's it was setting us up for what's going on now in this world. And that's I'm a firm believer in that.
Yeah. It's very interesting because we were both on Clubhouse at the time, and
Yeah.
we didn't. I don't remember coming across. Maybe I did at some point. I'm sure, but I was definitely much more in spiritual rooms than maybe the human room. But I certainly heard your voice and your new energy and your vibration recently. So there's definitely a connection. But it's you talk about your gifts, right, Reiki. I really do feel everybody's kind of being called on right now to activate their gifts. And a lot of the time we'll worry about the name. What are my gifts? Oh my God, what are they? Are they Reiki, Akashic records? And for me, all of these things are modalities. They're all kind of things that we can learn if it feels connected to our heart and soul. But they're all modalities that we pick. But we are the gift. Our energy, our vibration, what we, when you walk into a room, how do you make people feel? What's your intention? The same, on social audio, right? We met on Chatter. If you walk into a room on Chatter, your vibration as you enter into that room changes the room. And that's partly what our gift is. And the more that we can accept that we are the gift, instead of searching, because it's like we're all waiting for this big epiphany, right? This
Yeah.
flash in the sky where all of a sudden we realize what our destiny is or what our purpose is. And I don't know. I mean, I always say my purpose is anyone I connect with, I leave them better than I found them. That
Mm.
allows me to do anything. It allows me to do a podcast. It allows me to do mentorship. It allows me to do public speaking. It just means that I'm not tied down to one thing. Why would I want to tie myself down to one thing? So I'd love to ask you about what else are you feeling in the current energy? What are you feeling in the vibration when you're feeling the planet shifting? What's your take on the current energy?
Well, I feel that the people that maybe this is their records or, as you say, are subconsciously having that conscious uh, level coming out and really starting to shift and sort of having this awareness and rising above the low energy. There are people that I feel that are just cannot keep above the water and they're still swimming and they're trying to figure it out. And we are rising above, like coming out from the water and just rising above, sprinkling just little seeds here and there. And and therefore you have that void because the middle of the road is changing now, because we've had so many extremes going on with our government, the war, everything just and I'm not saying doom and gloom because I am a cheerleader for the next generation, educating them. And they are so much more smarter than we give, I think, the Gen X um, the opportunity to say they get it. They really do. They might be hardwired differently, but they are on this other like planet of awareness. So I kind of feel this like interesting change and shift that we've never experienced on so many levels. And that's why I think on Chatter, I go there to just plant the seeds, leave, because I am so much more. And I'm not saying this to be mean. I think, when you hit your 50s, you have the wisdom and you've walked the walk. You're just more, and everybody has their spiritual awareness or their awakening at all different ages. But I don't feel the need that I have to prove myself, that I need to speak. I just give my wisdom, and that's all the energy and my angels and everything around me. And then I feel like, okay, now I'm going to do my work off of this app. Do you feel the same way or?
Yeah, same. I mean, a lot of the time I'll dip in and out. I'll have it on in the background. And sure, I'll speak if I feel called to. It's I guess we've always got to check in with ourselves and just check: are we speaking to speak, or are we speaking to be heard?
Right.
Because I find some people, and again, no judgment, everyone's on their own journey. It's that sometimes people speak to speak, and I'm just, I don't know. A lot of people say I'm a lot quieter than I used to be. I don't see it that way. I only speak when I've got something to say. And that's, that means that you think I'm more quiet, really? And I'm not sure that's the case, but okay. I talk a lot on this podcast. I talk a lot on other platforms, and it's just like, just interesting. And you kind of talked about age, and I'm in my 50s too, so I guess but it's like some of the conversations I'm having, even with the younger generation, I really do feel a lot of people are being activated. A lot of light workers, a lot of.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like we've all gone through this mass rebirth, and we're all feeling different, and there's an energetic shift, and it's awakening something in us. And sure, human experience and age kind of makes things. Maybe we hold less things, we become a lot calmer. We don't, kind of. But I really do feel the younger generation, and I really hope some of them are listening, right, is being activated. Gifts are being connected. Some of our clients are of that ilk. They know that something's been something's shifting, and they're being activated. And this is a time where you can get really lost in the noise. There's so much noise. I mean, even on chatter, right? I go into some rooms and there's so much emotion there. I'm like, why? Why is everyone getting so emotional? I don't understand. And it's over the silliest things. I'm just like, okay.
I feel
And
I feel
yeah,
it too.
and I'm just like, I don't fully understand, but I do understand it. I do understand it at an energetic level, but I'm not going to get into that stuff because why would I? But it's just like, this is a phase, certainly for the listeners, this is a phase where we have to focus on ourselves. And that's so alien to us. It goes so against the natural programming, which says we have to put everybody else first. And I get it's difficult, but actually the thing we've got to realize is our gifts are activated. Our energy, our vibration is risen, is activated the more that we work on ourselves. And this is what I mean. I feel like right now, people like us have a role to play where we raise our vibration and we offer guidance to those, and we give people an option. We're not here to force anybody, but we give them a bridge. And this is why, my podcast, your podcast, this is why I feel it's really important. Because our voice, as well as the words we use, has a vibration, has an energy, and I just feel the shift. And I encourage anyone I talk to, just embrace the energy. I'm lucky I get to talk to all sorts of people, and I just my constant messages right now is focus on you, which is so unnatural. Everyone says, yes, of course I focus on me. Yes, of course I can do that. But can we? Because one of the basic human needs is love. And sometimes if we focus on ourselves, maybe that causes someone else to be hurt or feel like they're not important. But ultimately, who are we to stop somebody's pain? Because maybe that trigger is going to help them to understand actually they need to be the love they're looking for, not to look outside. So it's just an interesting journey. And if you can take a step outside and just look at what's happening in your own life, maybe then you'll start to see, oh, okay, now I get it. The universe has a plan, and the universe is pushing us to just beautiful. Of course, look, I'm human. I get involved in the human stuff too, right? And there's times when, like, this past full moon was intense. It was really intense. But yeah, I'm a soul having a human experience. I'm all for it. So, but Leslie, I'd love to hear about your journey of the podcast. It feels like a calling. I'd love to just, could you share more in terms of how that calling felt and how you put it into play?
Yeah. So, wow, that calling. Um, it was as if something was activated in me. And it was when my mother, who was my guiding light, my energy, my all. And I know in German it's called something. When I was having energy work done, I'll back it up a little. that will then introduce my podcast and the birthing of it. Why? About 15 years ago, I opened up a magazine, and there was Sedona, the Boynton Canyons, and something said, you need to go there. And I'm the type that, once I make a decision, I never look back. And I go with that. And I just said to my husband, we have to go. Let's bring the boys. We were blessed that we can and we were able to. P.S. They've been there back 8 times, back and forth. I've had so much energy work, enlightenment, past life regressions. Some people do or don't believe in it. That has set the stage for me to have that voice. My mother always said as she was failing, and that light was just, she's like, we have been together millennials. We've been souls connected. She was such wise. And it's something that I always had to be validated. She was a very great businesswoman. But I always felt like I had to hide behind, this energy and the gifts I've had that set the stage for Keep It Dirty. But like you're saying, these frequencies, everybody's been through something that is like a sci-fi, something that you as a kid, be like, that would never happen. So at the end of the day, I decided, you know what? I'm going to listen to what's driving me. My mother always said, you have a voice, use it. You have content, do something with it. And I could hear her above just cheering me on. So I took my content. I took these amazing people that I built community. And I had that image of going back to school, connecting. I love connecting. I love the gift of gab when it comes to having the same type of love of functional health and what's going on with our environment and saving Mother Earth and saving us and creating that awareness. And I didn't care the numbers. I just felt like, you know what, if this is going to take, it's meant to be. But it's my way of just dealing and coping with my mother who was passing. And it was very cathartic for me. And now I see all of a sudden, as I am leveling up my energy, people are listening. And now they're finding out, oh, wow, who is this woman? I love her content. I vibe with her. So my tribe is starting to grow. But that was not my goal. It was just a passion of why I was put here on this planet and all the work that if people want to follow, they can. People say, well, aren't you afraid that your Reiki, your business, you're not going to get the numbers? And I said, you know what? They can go somewhere else. If they resonate with me, that's beautiful. But I always felt my heart, like I never had that fear. I just feel more and more serving and having a calling on this planet. And it's just so gratifying. So that's my long-winded answer.
No, that's a beautiful answer. Thank you for sharing. And it's really interesting when you talk. I started this podcast with a message from my mentor who's no longer in this realm, saying my voice is my gift. And I started the same way. It's a passion project. At the beginning, I'd do like maybe one episode a month. It'd be like 15 minutes, and whatever came through, came through. And I remember before I began, I was overthinking it. Oh my God, do I have the right mic? Do I have the right software? I need to do all this research. And I remember a friend at the time just saying, just start. So if nobody listens? And I was like, oh yeah. So I just put my AirPods in, just opened my MacBook, it just started. And it's kind of, just beautiful. And this is what I'm saying. I really do feel we're getting more and more nudges from our guides. And, our guides can be made up of angelic beings. Also, 2 of my guides were on the human realm, my dad and Sidra, who's the mentor I mentioned. I know both of them are my guides. And again, we get hung up on who are our guides and what are their names and just an energy and a vibration. Well, the rest of my guys, I don't know their names. I can feel their vibrations. And that's what it's about. It's just a journey and trusting there's energies, vibrations around you. That do you need to know their names? Sure, give them a name then. Give them a name. Why not? But it's like, it's interesting you mentioned past life regression too. And it just, I'm a big believer that we're a soul having human experience, which means we've had so much of a journey. We've had so many past lives. And, when I read Akashic Records, I find a lot of people kind of get sometimes a bit obsessed with their past lives. And I always find if a past life comes up in a reading, it's there to either release the karma from that life, to make you aware of something from that life you're bringing into this life. It just takes you on a journey. There's no fix
Mm-hmm.
because your soul are meant to having a human experience. So if all of a sudden you can have a past life regression session or open the Akashic records, and all of a sudden you get all your answers and you get your whole life mapped out, you know what's the fun in that? I mean, we're a soul having a human experience. That's not a human experience. That's just following a map.
Yeah.
But what having a Reiki session, past life regression, reading your Akashic records, all of these give you an insight into who you are, give you an insight. It opens a window to allow you to accelerate your journey, not fix your journey, because none of us need fixing. And it's so beautiful. And you mentioned that kind of your podcast growing, and just the people that are assigned to it. I again believe that too. I don't stress about who's going to be a guest on the podcast. Blissfully, gratefully, I have lots of people reaching out, but
Mm-hmm.
I do trust whoever's meant to come into my life will come in. I have a soul contract. We have a soul contract to get connected. Just, I haven't spent that much time with Shadow, but all of a sudden, we kind of got connected. And I trust in that. And the weird thing is, I also feel that Sidra, the mentor that I mentioned, I feel like she works in the background and she does what she does because,
Mm-hmm.
she only passed away when she's only 30 years old, but that's humanly, right? But as a soul, she's so much older. And I just feel that she just does what she does and she can do so much more on the other side. And I just feel it's magical. If we can, I go back, if we can truly just feel the magic, for me, this time is magical because there's so much of a shift happening. But again, if you choose to get sucked into it, you're going to feel the emotion. You're going to feel like the world's ending. You're going to feel, and maybe that's what you're meant to experience. I don't know.
Right.
But if you could feel the energy and the vibration, and you're just following your journey and your nudge, just a conversation with your mom saying, you use your voice. You've all of a sudden that's led you down a path. You picked an interesting name, right? Keep it dirty. I love it. I love it. I wonder, where did you get that name from? Do you feel it was channeled? What did you think of that name?
Well, it's so bizarre because I just had this aha moment about 3 months ago. I also have a horse named Keep It Sweets. So her name is Sweets, but her show name is Keep It Sweets. And it seems like things are keep it. And I've always been somewhat, not a true rebel, but always thinking out of the box. And I guess being years in product development, marketing, PR, you live a long life. There's so many things that I have done that I didn't even present today, but molded and shaped me. And I always was very good with just creating that curiosity. Let people think, let them be like, whoa, do you know how many people on Clubhouse who are these gurus in podcasting told me to change my name to maybe Keep It Green? And I said, no, because I need to stand out. I need for people to say, what is this woman all about? And I think it's just in my DNA having
I
three.
I love
I don't
it.
know. What do you think?
I would never ask you to change it. I think it's beautiful. I think we're meant to trigger, right? And get
Yeah,
interest. I mean,
in a
look,
good
keep
way.
it green. Beautiful, right? Keep it green. All right. I love it. It's just there's a softness to it. But I think we're meant to trigger people. And I just, keep it dirty. I just like,
Yeah.
yeah, why not, right? Just, and people listen and they were expecting something else. Okay, it is what it is, right?
Wah, wah.
It's yeah.
Or
So
want to hear it.
yeah, but it's just we take life too seriously. I just but I'm glad you didn't listen to these so-called experts. And even there's so much. There's been so much organic growth with my podcast. I don't even know where. I mean, getting Stacey as a co-host, I think was a big shift. But just keeping it simple, not overthinking it, not. And I told you before, I don't edit it. I don't. Whatever comes through comes through. I trust. I don't. We don't plan the episodes. I mean, you experience it. There's no editing. There's no scripting. Whatever comes through comes through. I don't know what questions I'm going to ask you. I'll just ask them. I just think
Mhm.
there's a beauty to that. There's simplicity. Why do we complicate life? So let me ask you. So we talked about the energetic shift that's happening on the planet. and everyone are going through so much. What would your advice be to people who are going through something? You talked about connecting with nature, and
Yeah.
I'm just, what would you? Somebody's listening to the podcast, and kind of these guys are having a great conversation. They're talking about the shift and shining their light. I don't feel any of that. I feel like I'm stuck. I feel like the whole world is on my shoulders, and I feel like I talk to a lot of people like that this time. So I'm just, what would your advice be to those people?
Well, it's 3 words. Actually, 3 is also my path of life numerologically. And you just saying just came through to me. Trust the process. Just trust the process. And just that in itself is so powerful.
And I get that, right? Trust the process. I talk about this all the time. Um, but I know people struggle with it.
Yeah.
And the reason they struggle with it is they can feel so much change coming. And it's our human nature to want to control it, right? Everyone says, I love change. It's like,
Mhm.
it's only constant. I love change. I love change. But people only love change if they can control it.
Right. Or trust the now, right? Don't
Yeah.
worry about, and that's where my practitioner hat comes in. So stay in the green zone in the now. Don't worry about and rehash what happened. And this is something that I have to live by sometimes too, being human. Don't, don't worry about the future. Just know and trust the process and be in the present moment because it can get overwhelming. And check in with yourself, community building. It's just so empowering. I do a lot of nonprofit work. It's so gratifying, just giving back to the community, but also having your people around you. It doesn't have to be a huge community, somebody that you could check in with and be able to uh, feel, that human connection, because for so many years it was so, we didn't have that hug, that physical, like eye contact, actually being presently in front of people and really nurturing and loving your body and loving yourself. It's so important. Just creating the tools that I'm passionate about with clients. And some people are not ready for it yet, and some people are. And that's okay. And that's where I don't stress anymore. Maybe 20 years ago, I'd be like, oh my gosh, I want them to get on board. I feel great. But it's like when we are ready, we're ready to get to that next step. Like I'm going through shifts and changes, and I could be my own worst enemy. So I try to walk the walk and practice what I preach. But like you said, we're all human. We're on this planet to just rise a little above, creating more awareness to whatever our soul's next journey is. And that's the beautiful thing about being human. We're all imperfect.
Yep. We're all imperfectly perfect, right?
Yeah,
So
I
it's
like
just
that.
not, and it's just, and even because the way the people I work with and people that reach out to me, for me, there's a knowingness that when the student's ready, the teacher will show.
Yeah,
So
I like
whoever
that.
I'm meant to work with will reach out. If my voice resonates and we have a soul contract, they'll reach out when the time's right. And timing is a human thing, right? So sometimes we want to know, oh my God, when is this? When am I going to shift or what? I mean, time. Our guides don't really know human time, right? It's just when you do the internal work, when you have the self care routine, when you are spending time looking for answers inside, that's when all of a sudden things start to shift. It's when you're doing the work, and there isn't, you know, you can get some insight and information like through Akashic records, etc. But even that for me is a soul contract. It's all when you're ready and you're doing the self care, you're doing the work. That's when things start to shift.
Hmm.
So you mentioned some processes that you do with the people you work with. What can you share with us in terms of just what you recommend in terms of being present in the moment, grounding? Talk, keeping it dirty. What would you recommend to our listeners?
Well, you have to remember one thing, that this is something that we have been perfecting, creating this environment, just being wiser to maybe what we're doing now. creating that group, that tribe. And this is something that, wow, I would say just, again, live in the present moment, nurture yourself, and get back to the simple things in life that maybe we just take for granted, like maybe getting out there, grounding yourself, connecting with Mother Earth, maybe creating better sleep patterns at night, creating, and that's something I'm very passionate about, is really tracking what we're eating and connecting the emotion as to when we're eating. Are we rehydrating ourselves? How are we checking in relationship wise? What's going on with triggers with the Bluetooth? I mean, there's so many different layers. But what I do is, we're so bio individual, right? And everybody has their strengths, their weaknesses, the things that they really want to work on. But it's really just tracking the awareness to nurturing yourself. When you start nurturing and loving yourself, that opens up the doors to wanting to really eat healthier, right? Taking the time out of your day to sit and eat and digest and rest. That's something that we have really gone away from. And we're always go, go, go all the time. We don't sit and be mindful. The power of prayer. Years ago, as a little girl, every Sunday we'd get together with family. Being first generation here, traditions are very, very important in my heart. Having a mother who is Italian, Middle Eastern, my father all Polish, they brought those traditions here to the States. We would say a little prayer. We would chew our food. We would talk. We didn't have the devices like the kids looking at our phones, the TV, as my mother would say, turn off the idiot box. I mean, these simple things that 100 years ago we did, maybe just reflecting on that and getting back to simplicity. That's a good one, because there's so many things that I could speak into. But I try to start slow, back it up, because I'm the cheerleader on the that boat that's like the jet ski, and everybody else is like behind me saying, wait, I'm on the rowboat. So I've learned to back it up. But yeah, just being mindful, loving and appreciating yourself, and start slow with this journey of just eating healthier. And that's another story about the processed foods, the toxins that we're ingesting, and the fact that society is becoming more and more compromised. Years ago, when we would go to different European countries with my father, and visit family, there weren't all the fast foods. People didn't have
Yeah,
weight issues.
different world.
Different world. So yes, so you opened up a can of worms for me, but I'm going to just say, try to keep it simple and start basic, getting the rest, checking in with yourself, and doing something that you love to do, even if it's 10 minutes. What is your downtime? What do you love? I love to, before we went on this podcast, I went for a little run walk with my dog for 15 minutes. I looked around. I didn't have devices in my ears, and I was just enjoying the now outside. That's it.
So simple. So simple. Just, we have so much beauty around us, so much natural beauty that, yeah, just taking a walk out in nature and just connecting is so, so powerful. There's so much beauty to it, so much power. And the way you just described it, it's almost like being a student. And, when you're eating something, how do you feel? When you're watching something, how does it make you feel? And just, that's the way I took what you said, is to be that student.
Yeah. Listen to, tap into your senses, because the more your senses are heightened, with the cleaner you eat, the more your senses are heightened, the more tapped in tune you are to yourself and with Mother Nature. And once you do that, that's something that we've been put on this planet to thrive and to connect. There are herbs out there that has been used for thousands of years. There's so many different alternative ways to heal ourselves, to embrace that. All of the Like for my horse, I let her smell essential oils, lavender, to calm her when I see she's up and energy. I mean, even animals, connecting with them, they're so intuitive. When they know there's a storm coming, the horses start running all over, and it's like their way of saying, okay, brace yourself. And that's another beautiful thing. Tap in if you can to do some work. All my boys did mucking of stalls or connecting to really appreciate what nature is all about. It's that unspoken language and camaraderie of just loving what's around us. So, yeah.
Wow, so beautiful. It's really interesting because so many simple things could trigger us, right?
Yeah.
Um, for example, all of a sudden I'm getting an echo on this podcast, and I'm like, wait, where's this echo coming from? And I could easily get distracted from it and just like, oh my God, where's it? And there's this occasional beep, and I'm like, and it's like, well, hold on. No, let me ground myself. Because whatever's happening is happening. And for our listeners, if you heard some echo, sure, I apologize. We try and do the best that we can with the equipment. But I'm sorry, not sorry, if that makes sense, because it is what it is. I have no control over it. But I'm just embracing the moment. And that's what, for me, that's the message right now. It's just embrace there's no right or wrong. If there's something's triggering you, let it trigger you. And it's just interesting. It's just, we talked about being a student. If you could truly just become that student and just embrace, I'm looking outside in the garden now and I can see the wind. I can see and it's really simple, but I get it, right? And so many people are struggling with kind of soul contracts ending, relationship trauma, because that's what's happening right now. So many of us are having soul contracts coming to an end, going through a rebirth. It's a tremendously emotional time.
And that's
But
okay.
ride the storm, ride the wave, be present, that's be a student. I remember sitting with my mentor always used to talk about if she'd get triggered, she'd get excited.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? Wait, wait, what? But it's true. If you're getting triggered, that means there's something inside you that's ready to be healed. Get excited. Why not? It's a new paradigm. It's a new shift. So Leslie, I could talk to you for hours and hours and hours,
Oh,
but
no,
I'm
there's so
curious. I'd
many.
love for you to share what's happening in your world. What's coming up for you? If people wanted to connect with you, and what would you want to share with them?
Yeah.
How can they
Well,
reach out? How can they connect?
thank you. On the horizon, I putting the energy out there, and it's happening. People are connecting, and we're trying to collaborate to do a health and wellness retreat weekend, either in Florida. I have a son in Tampa, possibly Miami. There's been a handful of people I've been connecting with, and also I see and envision my middle son will be. He's a lieutenant in the Army. He will be stationed in Oahu, and there's a lot of energy there. So I'll be also doing something over the next year. But if anybody's interested, my business is East West Functional Training. And really my passion, not only with nonprofit, is to speak to corporate to create needs assessment strategies for optimal health and performance, which actually has a direct correlation with revenue and productivity. So that is eastwestfunctionaltraining.com. And on there, the beautiful thing is when you go to the table of contents, you could see my Instagram, Keep It Dirty podcast, and all of my YouTube. You'll get to know who I am. And thank you. Thank you for this time. This has been really, like I said, powerful. And it's a conversation that I'll remember through this recording and prior to us speaking. So I
Thank you.
appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It's it's really interesting. It's something you just said. And by the way, we're not completely finished. I'm going to ask you for some journal prompts in a second, or some affirmations. But it's interesting you mentioned corporate, because something actually we haven't spoken about. I spent many years in corporate, and I'm resisting, but I know there's a calling in me at some point to go back into corporate and do some healing within, in a different capacity than I was. But yeah, maybe that's the message that's come for me in this. I'm definitely resisting, because that I got to the time in corporate where I had a great job. I had some amazing people working with, but just the energy of it, I couldn't resonate with anymore. So I had to leave. But I know that I was in corporate for that much time for a reason. So it's something for me to explore. But
Yeah.
yeah, as I said, I could talk to you for hours. There's a beautiful energy to you. Your soul is expanding. I'm excited to see what the future holds. I'd love if there's anything in your heart, any final thoughts, um, to guide people on this journey, or any affirmations or journal prompts you'd like to share at this stage.
Yeah. What's calling me is when I lost my father to a massive heart attack, just unexpectedly when I was 23. It made shifts and change in my life, not to sweat the small stuff. That was the big thing. And also, I really started reading all of her beautiful books, Louise Hay, all of her beautiful, powerful affirmations. So if you have an opportunity, please check out. And I'm not getting anything like, I'm not an ambassador or anything, but her books and her calling, she passed, I don't know, maybe 15 years ago, was so powerful that it got me through the process of grief. And the one that just comes up for an affirmation is, you know, I love and approve of myself, and I am worthy of abundance. And
I love it.
yeah, so that's kind of my
I
little,
love it. I love it. I don't know. Something's triggered. So there's a side story for me too. So
yeah.
when my mom passed away, wow, 16 years ago now, I just happened to be on a Bob Proctor cruise. I wasn't with her, so I had to obviously get off the boat to come back. And he wanted to see us before we kind of left the boat. So and he asked me how are you feeling, and I said I'm really angry. I wasn't there when Dad passed away because he was in India.
Mm,
I wasn't not there when Mum passed away because I'm away. And he just looked at me and he's like, just remember this phrase: "You are where you're meant to be." And it just is really interesting because that one phrase got me through the next couple of weeks. It was just
wow.
such a simple, because we are where we're meant to be. Nothing is missing. Exactly. And just maybe the affirmation is going to help somebody that's listening. Wherever you're going through, whatever's happening in your world,
Mm,
you are where you're meant to be. Because in that moment, I knew that I wasn't meant to be by her side. I wasn't meant to see her physical body with loads of tubes and stuff around it. I was meant to remember her. And so it's just, there's so much beauty on this journey. And just, so I will include all the links and stuff for people to reach out to you. I'm looking forward to being on your podcast. I
yeah.
know it's coming up soon. We'll send that information out too. Actually, I'm not sure whether I'm going to post this before that one comes out, but anyway, it's all good.
And it's all good.
There's divine timing. There's nothing. So if that one's already been out, great. Hope you loved it. If it's not out yet, I hope you look forward to it. But I'm sending so much love and light out to all our listeners. Leslie, I've loved this conversation. Thank you for your soul. Thank you for your light. I'm excited to see what the future holds for you. I'm forever grateful for this conversation, and I'm sure you'll be back soon. So I'm sending you so much love and light, sending us so much love and light to the listeners. And Leslie, I'm going to hand over to you to finally close us out.
Wow, I am not worthy. Wow, okay. Oh, just sending peace, love, trusting the process of life. We're all going through so many shifts and changes, but sometimes you have to hit rock bottom to rise like a phoenix and to feel empowered and to know that you are safe in this world.
Wow. Thank you.